Let's jump into a new Reddit story. Our title today is, "My captain tried to leave me in a place I couldn't legally enter. I felt scared, trapped, and completely alone." Buckle up and get ready for an amazing story.
Hi everyone. I wanted to share something that happened recently while working as a stewardess/deckhand on a 20-meter yacht. I've worked in yachting for a while, but this was honestly one of the most stressful and frightening experiences I've ever had. I had accepted a job that was supposed to last until mid-October, but by the end of September, things had become unbearable on board, so I decided to resign. My contract required a 7-day notice period, so I stayed on board out of professionalism. At that time, we were in Corsica, and the plan was to sail from there to the Canary Islands. The moment I gave notice, the captain's attitude completely changed. He became distant and cold, and every time I tried to talk to him about when and where I'd be getting off the yacht, he avoided giving me a straight answer. I asked several times, trying to plan ahead and just understand what was going to happen, but he kept brushing me off. When we got closer to southern Spain, he told me I'd be disembarking in Gibraltar. I immediately explained that I couldn't. I have a Colombian passport and would need a UK visa to enter Gibraltar. I tried to show him the official government information, but he refused to look at it and kept insisting I was wrong. I tried to reason with him calmly, but he wouldn't listen. By that point, I was getting extremely anxious. I didn't want to risk being detained or deported just because he didn't care to check the rules. I tried to contact the management agency, but it was a Sunday and no one answered. I was at sea, isolated and starting to panic. The Wi-Fi barely worked and I felt completely helpless. Out of desperation, I reached out directly to the yacht's owner. I explained everything and sent the relevant information about the visa situation. Thankfully, the owner understood and told the captain to let me off in southern Spain instead of Gibraltar. But after that, things got worse. When I went up to the flybridge for my watch, the captain followed me and started screaming at me. He said it was unacceptable that I'd contacted the owner, denied that I'd ever tried to talk to him, and kept insisting that Gibraltar was Schengen territory, which it isn't. He tried to grab my phone twice, and at one point he made a gesture like he was going to hit me. In that moment, I felt completely terrified. There were only 3 of us on board: him, his partner, the chef, and me. I locked myself in my cabin, hid my passport, and barely slept for the next 20 hours until we finally reached Fuengirola, Spain. Only then did I finally feel safe again. It was honestly traumatizing. I had a panic attack that night, and I've never felt so vulnerable and unsafe at work. I know life at sea can be intense, and captains can be demanding, but no one should ever feel threatened or trapped, especially in a place where you can't just walk away. I'm sharing this because I know there are others out there in yachting and other industries who faced similar situations. Please always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, speak up. Document everything and don't let anyone intimidate you into silence. Has anyone else gone through something like this? How did you cope afterwards? Let's review some relevant comments from our readers. Commenter 1. Dude had main character syndrome plus anger issues. That's a combo for disaster. I hope he gets blacklisted FR. That's not leadership, that's pure ego. OP. Honestly, I'm waiting to receive my payment, and right after that, I'll report him. Abuse towards female crew, usually comes from older captains. Some of them think that because they hold a captain's license and because they have authority, they can do whatever they want. Sadly, they barely face consequences. Commenter 2. 100% report him to whatever, yachting authorities or whatever is available. Sorry, not sure exactly how it works or who oversees. Is at the least contact the owner again and inform him of everything. I would hope he wouldn't want this captain manning his yacht in the future. OP. I'll report him soon. Unfortunately, they still owe me money, and I hope the same. It was a horrible experience.
It's terrible to feel unsafe, trapped, vulnerable, and disrespected, especially when you are far away from shore, when there's barely any Wi-Fi connection to notify your loved ones. Commenter 3. That captain sounds unhinged. You literally told him the visa thing and he still gaslit you? Glad you went over his head, FR. That could have ended way worse. OP. Honestly, I think he tried to make me disembark in Gibraltar as revenge because I quit. I told him when we were still in Corsica that I should disembark in the Balearic Islands or in the south of Spain, that it wouldn't be possible for me to disembark in Gibraltar due to my passport and visa restrictions. Honestly, I think he knew that I would get in trouble in Gibraltar, and that's why he insisted on leaving me there. He just tried to make it seem that he was right because he's a captain and I'm wrong because I'm just a crew member. But I'm from Colombia. We need visas to go to some countries. I know my passport and visa restrictions. Honestly, I wouldn't like anyone to go through this situation. We were sailing in the Mediterranean, and my boyfriend was in Italy. I knew he would help me out. But what about other people? What if other crew members have gone through the same situation and they didn't have a single person to help them out? The previous crew member they had is from South Africa. She was on board just for about 20 days. The captain told me that she left because her mom got sick, and a few days later he told me that she left because she had a shoulder injury. I think she went through something similar, and it was her first boat, so probably she didn't know what to do. What would happen to the next person they hire? As far as I know, the boat would cross the Atlantic and would go to the Caribbean. What if they hire someone in Europe? They take her to the Caribbean and she finds herself in a similar or worse situation. I'm concerned about past crew and future crew experiences. Commenter 3. I think the captain was right. You would not have had a problem. There is an open border agreement between Gibraltar and Spain. It was signed just in June of this year. OP. The official website states that Colombians need a visa. Commenter 4. Gibraltar would have simply taken you to the airport and ensured you flew out of the country. Most countries would do that. I mean, there are some countries I wouldn't want to get dropped in, but most understand and it's not their first rodeo. OP. I don't want anything like that to go on my record. I travel quite a lot because of work and because of personal reasons. I've never had issues in any country, and I won't have them just because someone doesn't want to talk about that topic in order to reach an agreement.
Update: October 21st, 2025, nearly 2 weeks later. First of all, I want to thank you all for the love, the support, the understanding, and the advice. My previous post got deleted for some reason, but basically this is what happened. I was working on board a 20-meter motor yacht. I had a contract until the 15th of October, but I decided to quit on the 30th of September because there was no food on board, the work environment was not nice, the captain and the chef are partners. They would go to shore and they would leave me on the boat. Basically, I was working while they were hanging out. The contract stipulated that I should give 7 days' notice, but sometimes they buy you your flight tickets and they send you to your repatriation place the next day. This time the captain decided that I should stay those 7 days because he didn't want to do the navigation just with his partner. At the time, we were in Corsica, and their plan was to sail to the Canary Islands, but 7 days was not enough to get there, so I was supposed to disembark in the Balearic Islands or in the south of Spain. I told him that it wouldn't be possible for me to disembark in Gibraltar because I do hold a Colombian passport and I'd need a visa, which I don't have. Since I told him that, he insisted that I should disembark in Gibraltar. Every single time that I tried to talk to him about it and show him proof, he would just ignore me, shut me down, or act like I was stupid. I have to mention that if I would have disembarked in Gibraltar, that would have been really bad, not just for me, but also for him and the yacht. There was barely any Wi-Fi connection because we were kind of far away from shore. The management agency wouldn't reply to me as it was Sunday, so I had no one else to reach out but the owner. I had a brief conversation with the owner. I sent him proof of the official website stating that I'd need a visa. The owner understood. He called the captain and told him that I should disembark the very next day in the south of Spain. A few hours later, when I went to the flybridge to do my watch, the captain started shouting at me, tried to grab my phone of my hands twice, and at some point made a gesture like he was about to punch me in the face. I started feeling really anxious about the situation because I was far away from shore, I had barely any Wi-Fi connection, he started being aggressive, and his partner was on his side. I went to my cabin to hide my passport and my valuable belongings, but from that point I was feeling unsafe and we still had more than 15 hours of navigation. Luckily, I had started recording the conversations with him a few days before that incident because I knew he was going to deny everything, and I recorded the conversation, his shouting, in the flybridge. He said that most likely I wouldn't get the tip from the previous charter because it was up to him to give it or not to me, and I recorded other interesting things he said. I disembarked the next in Fuengirola, near Malaga. I was waiting to get paid to make an official report to the owner, the management agency, and the flag state, in this case, the Cayman Islands. I already got paid, and I've made the report as many of you suggested.
So now, the update. I decided to include in the report screenshots of emails that I had with the consulate and maritime authorities of Gibraltar, because for some reason the captain was sure that Gibraltar is a Spanish territory, but it is UK territory. They are doing some agreement to be part of the Schengen territory, but as today, Colombians do need visa, and it is a process that takes 2 months. Also, I decided to include screenshot of the conversations that I had with my boyfriend, my mom, and some colleagues who have been in the industry long enough and also know the rules and the procedures. These conversations are brief because of the bad Wi-Fi connection we had, but you can clearly see that I was terrified. Terrified of getting in trouble with the immigration authorities and the police. Terrified of having a bad record in my travel history, as due to work and personal reasons, I do travel quite a lot. Terrified of being beaten up by the captain and his girlfriend. As it was expected, the owner was the first person to respond to my report. He's a very nice person. Apparently, he got my report, he called the captain, and of course, he said I was making things up, that none of that ever happened, and that the only thing I wanted was to get money out of lies. The owner listened to me. I described in detail everything that happened, and also I told him that I had recorded the conversations. I didn't include this in the report because I knew he would deny it. So the owner asked me to forward to him those recordings, and I did. He listened to them, and I'd speak again to him next week. The management agency and the flag stated haven't answered yet. I don't even care what they have to say about it. I just don't want anyone to go through a similar situation because it is a nightmare. I've never felt so vulnerable, scared, and anxious. Some of you suggested that I should try to reach out to the previous girl, as she also quit in less than 20 days, and I suspect that something happened while she was on board. I know this is not the first time he does something like that. But unfortunately, I just know that she's young, South African, and I know just her first name, so it is not an easy task to find her. I don't know what the owner would say to me. I honestly hope he gets fired. Putting someone through that situation is just evil, especially because he abuses the authority he has when it comes to young women who are in a foreign country and trying to make some money. And the worst part is that his partner backs him up. Thank you so much again. Your response was so amazing and helpful. I definitely appreciate it.
and I had to give you an update. Thanks. Let's review some of the relevant comments from our readers. Commenter 1. Proud of you. Not easy to stand up to an old, entitled bully. Here's hoping the owner is as appalled by what happened and will kick the liability. OP. Thank you so much. Some people told me that I should get my money and forget about it, but I'd feel guilty if I don't try to do something because most likely this would happen again to someone else. Commenter 2. Absolutely gut-wrenching stuff. Dudes on power trips always show their true colors eventually. Respect for standing your ground and not letting this slide. At this point, it's not just about you or that other girl, it's about every other person he might try this on. That audio might just be your golden ticket. Stand firm, we've got your back. Karma's a bitch, and it's about time this captain's ship sank. Keep us updated. Stay safe. Commenter 3. Smart. Keep recording everything. Hope you hear something soon. Commenter 4. The captain is a piece of shit. I hope he gets fired. With that being said, I'm going to give you a small piece of advice that will help you in the future. You were arguing logic. I legally cannot step off the boat without a visa. See, here's the confirmation of that. And the captain was arguing emotion. I feel like you should be able to, so then you should. You will drive yourself crazy if you try and argue logic to someone who is speaking from emotion. I work in a male-dominated environment, and the number of men that say shit like, women just aren't good at XYZ is very high. Me giving statistics or even just saying, I'm the most proficient one here, I have the lowest error and the highest output, the data is posted weekly, falls on deaf ears. They'll keep repeating it because what they're actually saying is, I feel like women just aren't good at XYZ, and you can't use logic to fight emotion. I'm bringing this up because I want you to be safe, and I want you to save yourself some mental anguish. If you start using facts and logic to argue with someone and they give you a blank look and repeat themselves, then you two are speaking different languages. Hope you like this story. Like and subscribe to keep receiving the best stories in all Reddit.